really confuses me is the fact that I don't remember ever buying a second set. Hi everyone! Today I will be using some art supplies that I don't use very often, and in fact it's probably been years since I used these. But what is in this pencil case, you might be asking? Well, let me show you. It is a whole bunch of metallic pencils. These are 3 different types of metallic pencils, and I used to have a set from Faber-Castell when I was a kid, but then when I wanted to rebuy that set as an adult, I could not find it anywhere. So instead, I opted for buying a Crayola set of metallic pencils, which ironically, Crayola products used to be a lot more rare than Faber-Castell in Germany. But then I went on holidays to America, and funnily enough, that's where I actually found that childhood set of metallic Faber-Castell pencils. Additionally, I also ended up with another different type of Faber-Castell metallic pencils when I bought a mixed set of Faber-Castell colored pencils. So yeah, I have 3 sets of metallic colored pencils. And since it's always fun to see different but similar art supplies compared to each other, that's what I'm going to be doing today. So let me start by giving you a quick swatch and overview of each of those pencils. I will be using all of these colored pencils in an illustration in my sketchbook, but I will also be swatching all the pencils on black paper, because that's usually how they're being advertised.
2 moments later.
Okay, so while I was sorting out my colored pencils, I was a little confused because it looked like I had a lot of Faber-Castell pencils. So when I sorted them, I realized I have 2 different sets of Faber-Castell pencils. But what really confuses me is the fact that I don't remember ever buying a second set. So I guess this video isn't going to be Faber-Castell versus Faber-Castell versus Crayola, but instead Faber-Castell versus Faber-Castell versus Faber-Castell versus Crayola. Suddenly we have 4 different sets of pencils. Anyway, let's get back to swatching. Let's start off with the Crayola pencils. This is the only set of Crayola colored pencils that I own. I kind of like that they actually have color names written on them. They are not very creative names. It's just metallic purple, metallic silver, but it's still kind of nice. So let's swatch them. So while I'm swatching, what else I'm noticing is that the first 2 colors, the purple and the pink, are a little scratchy, which honestly I'm not too mad about, because in order to get the metallic effect, there has to be some sort of like sparkly silver glitter infused into the pencil lead, and that's what makes the pencil scratchy. But every other color was like buttery smooth. Like, I was genuinely surprised and impressed. So first of all, and this is something you're going to see with all of my metallic pencils, but when you're using metallic pencils on white paper, they tend to look rather gray. And I feel like this is not really an issue with metallic markers, but I mean, markers and pencils are some very different art supplies. And I like the way the round pencil feels in my hand. But now on black paper, you can see the metallic effect a lot more. And some of the colors look a lot brighter, like especially the orange and the yellow. They look super bright on the black paper. Okay, now that I have the Crayola pencil swatch, let's jump to the Faber-Castell ones, and I think I'm gonna go with the 12 pack first. Okay, so I noticed that some of these pencils are a little chipped, but I hope they're still fine. Immediately when I started swatching them, I remember why I didn't particularly like these pens as a kid. And I know this sounds ironic because I just praised the Crayolas for being really nice and smooth, but these Faber-Castell ones, I don't know really how to describe, but it kind of feels like I'm pushing into a pillow. I tried to sharpen this pencil and the tip just fell out. I was also really concerned when the tip of the silver pencil broke off when I tried to sharpen it, because sometimes if you drop a pencil or a colored pencil, the lead in it might break or like shatter, and then the pencil becomes basically unusable. And I was really worried about that, because that would have been a bad omen for these pencils, just because it would kind of imply that I dropped this bag of pencils at some point. But everything's fine, it just took a few tries with sharpening. Also, some of these colors are very similar to each other, but they're also very similar to the Crayola ones. Also, interestingly, there is a silver and a black as well. On the black paper, the colors are still surprisingly similar to the Crayola ones. But I gotta say, I really like the inclusion of a turquoise, and I quite like this dark blue indigo color. And like, look at just how bright the silver and the yellow are. Like, especially the silver, I think this is really cool. The black, I kind of have mixed feelings on. Kind of just looks like pencil. Like, if you just draw with a pencil on black paper, it kind of has a similar grayish metallic shimmer. But yeah, on to the next set of Faber-Castell metallic pencils. So this set of Faber-Castell metallic pencils is just as overly soft as the previous Faber-Castell set. If you keep using them, you will get used to it. It already bothers me a little less now. But also, these colors are a lot brighter than the other ones, except for maybe the yellow gold color. The metallicness of them is quite faint, except on the purple and the silver. Also, I thought this pen was going to be a brown, and now it could still pass as a brown, but I feel like it looks a little too orange. And then on black paper though, these colors like really blew me away. Like, look at how incredibly bright and vibrant they are. If you want to be nitpicky, they are like ever so slightly less metallic than the others, but I feel like the vibrancy makes up for it. And now we are down to swatching my last 4 pencils, which are also Faber-Castell, but this time it's the color grip version. So these ones, I'm pretty sure you can buy bigger sets of them if you really wanted to, but I bought like a mixed set of pencils, and that's where these 4 come from. So I thought I might as well swatch them since, you know, they're here. These 4, the like grip pencils, are by far the softest one out of the pencils that I swatched today. Which is not surprising because I think at some point they actually included in their marketing that the grip pencils are super soft, so they're less likely to break, or they're easier to use or something like that. They don't really blow me away on the white paper, and even the metallicness is, you know, on par with all the others. Of course, on black paper, they look really nice. And maybe it's because this paper is a little rougher than my white sketchbook paper. It doesn't really feel like you're using colored pencils, but it kind of feels more like using wet chalk. So I thought that's really interesting. And also, I feel like the green and the blue almost look like pastel colors on here. I want to use these pencils in an actual illustration, but so far this Faber-Castell 10 set is actually the one that I enjoyed the most, just because it has the most vibrant colors on both the white and the black paper. But let's see if my opinion's gonna change. I will also be drawing in the white sketchbook, just because white paper is the most accessible to people. So let me just whip up some pictures, and then we're gonna start coloring in with our metallic pencils. Instead of any characters or animals, I actually felt more in the mood to draw some food items. And just so we have room for a little more color variety, I also accessorized them just a little bit. I also may have forgotten about the fact that one of these pictures has to be colored in with only these 4 pens. So, one of them is not gonna have very realistic colors. I don't know if there's any trick to using metallic pencils, so I'm just gonna use them the same way I would use any other type of colored pencils. I don't really think it reads as yellow tomato. It definitely looks very gold, which makes sense since this is a golden colored pencil. Okay, so here is my first set of metallic colored pencils used in an illustration. Then next, for this grilled cheese sandwich, I think I'm going to use the Faber-Castell 12 set, which is these ones that have like a metallic paint on the outside. Probably gonna have to end up mixing some yellow and orange just to get a nice cheesy color, as well as, and to kind of have like different colors for the inside of the bread and the crust. pencils that are this soft and smooth is kind of nice because I hate scratchy art supplies, but at the same time it makes it really hard for me to control the amount of pressure that I use. So it makes it a lot harder for me to add like shading and highlights just because everything ends up kind of like a middle ground. And I'm trying so hard. I'm trying really hard to be very light when I'm coloring in this cheese, but it still ends up being like very opaque. This was supposed to be a delicious grilled cheese. The yellow gold of this set looks really green, especially compared to the tomatoes, and now it looks incredibly disgusting. This looks like the grilled cheese version of the nasty patty. So here's my moldy grilled cheese sandwich. I think the hair clips look really cute. The cheese questionable. It also looks so much more desaturated right next to the tomatoes. Let's keep going, 2 more to go. Alright, since we're on a roll with the Faber-Castell pencils, let's color in the orange with the 10 set. I didn't check, but I hope this is the one that has a pretty orange. Did make the mistake of using the yellow gold to color in like inside the white bits of the orange, and now it does look a little bit rotten over here, but we can also just focus on the whole orange with its cute stickers. And now lastly, our final food picture is going to be colored in with the Crayola metallic pencils. I might have made the dough a little too dark, but it's okay. They're chocolate donuts now, I guess. I really want to try to make these bracelets on this donut be kind of like primary colored, so red, blue, and yellow. And that's why I didn't want to color in the dough from the donuts in yellow. Perhaps not the best decision, but it is what I'm going with now. So this is kind of annoying. I just sharpened this Crayola pencil because I wanted a bit of a more, I wanted a pointier tip, so it's easier to do a little bit of detail. But unfortunately, the sharp tip just keeps breaking off. And I promise I'm not putting on that much pressure. Like, yeah, I'm a little heavy-handed, but this should not be enough to break it this easily. So here are my 4 finished pictures, my little foodie illustrations. Let's give them a little shake to see if we can see anything resembling a metallic effect. Since I wanted to use them the way I usually use colored pencils, I did use them at varying opacities, while for the swatches I did use them at full opacity. And I feel like, as you can see, or as you cannot see, the metallic effect is almost non-existent here, which is a bit of a shame. And you could argue that it's because I didn't use the black paper, but I would like to argue they should still have a metallic effect even on white paper. So this makes me a little sad. I'm also a little upset about the fact that the Crayolas did not end up being my favorite one. And don't get me wrong, I did enjoy using the Crayola pencils. Again, just from the way they feel in my hand, these are definitely my favorite. But compared to the Faber-Castell ones, these are like way more scratchy. And from the 3 Faber-Castell ones, I'd say it's either the grip ones or the 10 set ones which I like the most, just because these are the most saturated out of the 4 of them. But I only have 4 grip colors, so I feel like it's not really fair for me to judge whether they have the best colors or not. At least based on what I can see, these 4 colors are nice. Or well, 3 of them, because the gray silver is so light that you can barely even see it. And just because of that, I'd say the Faber-Castell 10 set is the best of the metallic pencils. It would probably be a good idea for me to make another video where I use them on the black paper, but I'll be honest, I don't really know how to really use the black paper because I love outlines and I don't know how to make art without outlines. But if I do figure that out one day, there will be another part of this on black paper. In case you're interested in buying any of these pencils, I'll also blend in how much they cost, like roughly, because it varies from side to side. But that is it. This is my picture. That was my video. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any other ideas for video topics for me, feel free to leave them in the comments down below. And I really hope to see you again next week for another video. Goodbye!